Well, hi everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We're here to talk about your SUSO work that you completed over the summer. The purpose of today's call is just to explain the process that you guys use to go through planning, and then to just talk about and uncover any lessons that you learned and also any tips or tools that you have that might be of benefit to other people who are going to go through a similar planning process as we work through project design throughout the school year. So does anybody have it? Do you want to do a quick introduction, just who you are and where you teach, and maybe a quick, like, what was your role on the team?
Yeah, I'm Jacob McMillan. I'm the 9th grade World Geography and AP Human Geography teacher at Cass Tech.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Jenkins. I'm the program coordinator at Advanced Learning Academy.
Hi, I'm Jose De Hoyos. I am the 9th grade dual credit theater and team building teacher at Cass STEM.
Hi everybody, good afternoon. My name is Marco Perez. I teach AP Human Geography at Cass STEM High School.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Salazar. I teach college and career readiness at Cass STEM High School.
Hi, I'm Sarah Hudson. I teach 6th grade humanities, social science at the Advanced Learning Academy.
Hi, I'm Carol Harrell. I'm the instructional coach with Cass Med and now with Cass STEM. So shout out to my new Cass STEM friends.
Hi, my name is Alyssa. I'm going to be a sophomore at Cass Tech, and I'm one of the student interns.
Hi, my name is Sophia Rodriguez. I'm a rising senior at the Advanced Learning Academy. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. Our first question for the team then is to just give us a brief overview of the project that you planned this summer. What is it about? How did you come to this team design? Like, how did the team compose itself?
Yeah, I can speak to this. So Speak Up, Speak Out is a student enrichment program introduced by the Annette Strauss Institute for Civic Life out of UT Austin. And so it's all about engaging citizens and informing them about voting rights. And the project is a PBL for students that kind of activates them to recognize and explore local problems in their community. And then in small groups, seek out solutions in which they'll propose and present to an audience, usually through a civics fair. And so the CAST network has, for the last 2 years at least, has run a local civics fair here in San Antonio at UTSA. And so for us to continue that work, this project group here and other teachers as well have been adapting this project so we can continue it with the remote learning scenario that we're presented with this year.
Which is going to be really
add on to what Jacob said, we wanted to make sure that we could create a resource that was something that teachers from all over the network could use, so that if they wanted to implement SUSO in a number of settings, either it be a full-fledged PBL unit or something that's an extension opportunity that could be added for students in a number of different ways, that we wanted this to be a resource available for teachers to implement however they wanted to implement it. And then we also wanted to use students in the process. So we had students involved in the process of this project, everywhere from actually writing curriculum and also in giving feedback to the curriculum that the teachers created as well.
awesome. Thank you. When you think about collectively what you were able to accomplish through this work this summer, what makes you the most proud about this project?
Okay, yeah. The thing that I think I'm proud a lot about is the fact that we've all worked with Speak Up, Speak Out in some shape or fashion in the past, and we came together from our different, backgrounds and our different schools, and thought to ourselves, we need to blend our resources together to make them distance learning ready. So we added examples in our spreadsheets, like links. We try to clarify some instructions from the help of our students, interns. They said, okay, this looks great, but what if a kid wants to do it this way? And so we took their feedback and worked on the resources we already had. I think, like, if there was anything that was a problem for us, it was probably time, because we wanted to put so much more into our cookbook.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. And I do want to point out, this was like a cross-campus effort, right? This was not one campus designing a project for one campus. How many schools are represented here today?
At least 3.
That's awesome. So what was that like, coming together and working with people that you don't necessarily see every day in the same building? And you haven't spent a lot of time planning together in the past, or have you?
No, we haven't. And I had mentioned this to the group before, is that I thought it was a great experience because we don't normally get to plan and work with our sister schools in the CAS network. And so this provided us, during unfortunate circumstances, to be able to get perspectives from different educators at different schools that maybe have a slightly different approach to the way that they do things. So I thought that that was a very valuable experience, to get that opportunity to work with each other and look at it from a different angle.
Also, we had students from every single school. So that was also very interesting to see how Speak Up, Speak Out was done at every different school from the student perspective, but then also to get the different ideas from all the students on how they envisioned Speak Up, Speak Out happening in, our new environment, be it in a blended setting, or be it, in a few years from now, how they could see Speak Up, Speak Up happening, and also how each of the students had experienced Speak Up, Speak Out, and how it impacted their lives at the different schools. So that was also really interesting to see, to hear from the students from across the network and how Speak Up, Speak Out had impacted them.
Yeah, thank you.
I can.
Please do jump in.
I was going to say, I definitely agree with Ms. Jenkins on that. I feel like there's major privilege in knowing that with the CAS network there is student voice, and I felt proud in knowing that I had a seat at the table when it came to setting up the curriculum and being able to look at some of the amazing work that the teachers have composed, and just being able to look at that and give the student perspective on that. I think is something that not a lot of other districts do, and so I was really proud to see that.
Yeah, and I can also, for me, in my experience, it was really fun. I got to meet students from different schools within the CAS network, which I thought was really fun. And I also got to create new friendships. And we were talking about, we didn't exactly I personally didn't know all the teachers, but they were able to explain to me the personalities of the teachers. So I was able to see, like, oh, I could see why they did that here, or oh, that makes more sense. And it was just really fun to hear that.
Before we leave the topic of student input, I wanted to ask a question around, I know that, a lot of times as educators, we work really hard at making sure that voices are heard. In this case, though, it sounds like it was more than just being heard. Like, your voice actually impacted what was happening, every voice at the table, the voices from across the network that are not just focused on their one campus, but also the student voices. So what would you guys say has to exist? Like, what are the structures or the processes that have to exist in order for every voice to have equal impact, not just to be heard, but to actually impact what's happening?
I feel like for me personally, one of my friends invited me to this club called SISD something, and she was explaining to me how students from different schools, not a lot of schools actually, they're trying to spread out as much as possible, but that they're trying to interact with their principals and with their counselors and so on to implement changes in their school because their schools are so big that not the students' voices don't get exactly get heard. But here at ALA and I'm pretty sure other schools here in the CAS network, my voice, I feel like my voice is pretty well heard. I'm very outspoken a lot, even if people don't want me to be at times. But yeah, I think it was a really good opportunity. Although I feel like for me in my grade level, not everyone is as motivated to have their voices heard because they either are too shy or too scared to talk at times. Because there's a small group of us in my grade level. There's only 17 of us, so we're pretty small. But that we want to get our. I think we just need to encourage those who are a bit too shy to speak out to talk. Yeah.
On our campus, I think it's really important to motivate student voice, and I think that's where we lead from. Is we lead with our students in mind. That's something that we have really pushed on our kids because we want them to be able to express themselves and know that they're going to be our future leaders. And if they aren't able to express themselves now, how are they going to do it later? And I think that speak up, speak out really lends itself to taking a stand on an issue. And that's something that I've really learned because even though we experienced it on our campus, I think from my point of view, I didn't experience it personally. I mean, I knew what it was, but I didn't know the components or the things that went into it. And now that I have a better understanding doing this in the summer, I understand now how I can fit into the puzzle and how we can work through the PBL process and really kind of motivate those students to use their voice even more. Because I've seen what our students can do just in this last, since everything began in March, what they can do, not only in person, but in an online setting. And just the growth of students from 1 month, 1 week, 1 year to the next is important. And I think that we're seeing that and using this as a platform to really motivate themselves is really important. So
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Bettis, I saw that you had your hand up. Did you want to add something, sir?
The thing that I was going to say is that, in order to work with somebody that you don't know, whether it's at a different campus or new leadership or even of a different age, the thing you have to have is trust. And I think that's what we had amongst each other, right? We all had trust in our students, feedback to make our projects better. We had trust in each other as staff to say, you're familiar with this part of the cookbook. I know that you're going to get that part done. So I think trust was very important for us to be successful in this.
Can you guys tell us a little bit more about the cookbook kind of idea and concept?
To answer that.
I know that wasn't a plan.
That we had a lot of resources from a lot of really great teachers across the network who had implemented SUSO in a few different ways. That's what I really like about SUSO is that it's flexible and that it can be implemented as a full-fledged PBL. It could be implemented as a wonder course. It could be implemented as an after-school club, or I don't know, like it could be done in so many different ways. So it's like we just wanted to give teachers the tools to do SUSO however it's best, however it's the best fit for that grade level or for that teacher or for that campus or for, whatever, however they want to do it. Like, we just want to make sure that they see SUSO as a thing that can be done, that can be implemented in a flexible way. So I think that's kind of where the idea of like, this is a cookbook of the different ways that SUSO can be like cooked up. So
Yeah.
so it's just a bunch. I don't think I'm explaining.
I think what
well,
we try to do is, look at our past experiences with the program Speak Up, Speak Out, and say, we need to break it down into manageable chunks. That, okay, this is how you let the family knows about it. This is how you let the community know about it. This is how you started in class. Let's look at how it's going to get judged. How should research look? Those kinds of things are all different aspects that we worked together on, and try to pull our resources together to give someone a recipe for rolling out Speak Up, Speak Out for the first time at their campus.
So if a teacher is brand new to the CAS network and this is their first year and they're interested in finding out more about how to do just that, how to roll it out in a successful implementation plan that works for them and their community, where do they go to figure all that out? What are they going to find?
So it's organized into folders. So they will have everything will be broken down from step 1, which is like what SUSO is and how to introduce it to students and families and the community, to how to help students do research, to how to help students find what they're passionate about, to how to help organize students into group. Everything is broken down into folders, and there's mini lessons and one-pagers and blended lessons, and like everything is labeled and organized out for teachers so that they can kind of pick and choose. Let's just say like, oh, this is something that I want to take and utilize in my classroom, or like this is too much and doesn't really fit my needs. So they can really just kind of look through the folders and pick and choose what will best fit their needs.
Awesome. And when does SUSO happen, like in the school year? Is it all year? Is it a 9-week plan? Is it you pick and choose what works for you? How do they figure that part out?
Yeah, so we'll establish a local civics fair date, usually sometime during winter. So I think right now January is roughly like the predicted date. And then there's the state civics fair that's held, I think, in February, January, when you can speak to that. So each teacher can decide how long they want to spend on this project. It's recommended teachers start it sometime in mid to late October, and work with it up until the civics fair. So there is a lot of flexibility with the pacing and how teachers structure the lessons. So it's really just meeting the needs of especially your student age group.
It sounds like you guys did a ton of work with organizing everything and making different pathways that teachers could access. How did you decide who was going to sit on this team? And then how did you assign like jobs or things to be done as you were working through? Like, there's obviously a point in time where you say, okay, this is now as finished as it's going to be for this round. Like, how did you come up with those processes?
We met twice a week, and it was just a matter of like zooming out and looking at what we had done, and then zooming back in and looking at what we still needed to accomplish. So it was a really cyclical process of thinking like, okay, this is a big picture of all the things that we need to do. Okay, here's a checklist of things that we need to accomplish. And then we had a really great team of people who volunteered to take on those tasks along the way. And then a really great group of student interns who also volunteered to take on tasks and to give feedback on tasks that teachers had created. And it helped motivate us along the way to create some really high quality products that will be great for Speak Up, Speak Out, and for, I think it also applies to other great research-based projects in class too.
Yeah, I want to say that we looked at the entire program and said, you know, we need to break this down. And we come up with the categories like, you know, things to do pre-Speak Up, Speak Out, how to host an entry event, for example. And we looked at different steps within the program itself, like how do you get kids to identify your problem? And so we looked at different lessons on how to, you know, help kids investigate their community needs or something like that. We looked at exploring the problem, and in exploring the problem, that's where research comes in. And so we had a lot of different ways to conduct research. And I think the links that we selected were great in there to help people figure out, you know, what is research? How can it help you come up with a better solution? And then the identifying of the problem, you know, looking at what are the root causes of it. And finally, the preparation and the presentation itself. So try to build a template to help kids who've never done a project before and give them a starting point.
In terms of how we were picked, I know that we were at the beginning of summer, or right before the summer started, we were given a survey by the CAS Network asking us if we wanted to be part of different committees, or, you know, what our interests were for the summer, if we wanted to do any kind of summer work. And when that happened, you know, we could choose different activities that met, you know, for different things. And so at that point, we were given these roles in different places. And so different people are doing multiple activities. So some people are not only doing just this activity, they're doing other activities. So you're going to see, I think everybody in here is doing not only this activity, but they're also doing, you know, something else. And so we're utilizing skills according to what I guess CAS needs are, so that we can build for what is right now an uncertain school year. But even so, these are things that we can use, you know, that can be used later on. They can be, you know, in blended learning, or it could be used on its own if once we're back in person too. So a lot of these things are things that we could just have that are not going to, you know, hurt us later. I mean, they're going to just help us, you know, using each other's abilities and talents.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's worth pointing out too that this is not a brand new project, right? So the group that was convening over SUSO was convening over work that has been in the works for several years now, right? How did SUSO get started in the CAS network?
Jake, want to go ahead and do that one?
I think Sarah Hudson's got the best answer.
All right.
So I can share. I've been teaching for 7 years, and I first did Speak Up, Speak Out at Hawthorne. And when ALA was created, I saw the power that SUSO has on kids and the effect that it has on kids, and decided, well, I'm going to try this out on our 4th and 5th graders, because why not? And so we did it as an entire 4th and 5th grade community here at ALA, and then it kind of branched out from there. We, when I moved to 6th grade, we tried it there, and we had 7th grade that tried it out, and then other teachers as well. And I think it branched out as teachers went to, other roles. And then also as we had parents who saw the effects that SUSO had on their kids learning, and it just continues to grow from there.
That's awesome, Sarah. Well, I bet there's a big difference between planning that first year and planning this summer. What would you say the biggest lessons learned have been around planning something like this?
So something that I would say, one of the beautiful things about Speak Up, Speak Out is that it's not a set curriculum. Even though there are certain steps to follow, for suggested steps to follow in order to complete the process, it's not a project that teachers have to study and then adapt and then adapt exactly in their classroom. So it's really, really malleable, and can be implemented according to the teacher's style. It's also interdisciplinary, so it doesn't have to be done just in one class or in one subject. I would highly encourage, if teachers have the ability to work with others, to kind of just branch out in that way and have other teachers collaborate. But after having done Speak Up, Speak Out and knowing kind of where some of the struggles are, what we've created with the cookbook is kind of the basic framework. So I always say that even though Speak Up, Speak Out is a pretty extensive project, I always feel like I'm not doing too much, because if you set it up well and give the students kind of the means that they need in order to figure out what it is that they're supposed to do at that time, you just let them go and they do the learning and the investigation, and they grow naturally. So what we've created are just some of the basic tools that teachers will need to implement it effectively, but then if you kind of give it to them like that, you'll see the process and the learning unfold naturally.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any tips for any new teachers to SUSO or new teachers to planning PBL projects? Any tips from veteran teachers who have been doing this for a minute, or even somebody that this was new for this summer? I know when I'm new to something, I'm writing and I'm listening and I'm taking various notes, because I'm like, okay, I'm sure I'm gonna have to do this again later. So does anybody have any good advice for anyone else that might be interested in starting this work in the fall?
I think one of the things as a new teacher being introduced to this, I'm not a new teacher in the classroom, but a new teacher being introduced to this is to just kind of absorb, as much as you can. All these teachers had a wealth of knowledge, and a lot of this was stuff that we do in the PBL process already. So it's just a matter of how Sarah had said, it's not anything that you're reinventing the wheel. It's kind of what you have is you can take it and use it with what you have with your subject. It's already there. So it's a matter of what can you use to kind of help the process along. So I think when you approach it in that sense, you're finding that you're going to have much more ease with it. Don't try to make it what it's not. It's not a whole new teaching methodology, and you're going to have to do this, this, and this. It's nothing like that. It's not, it's not a whole new teaching method where you're going to have to do, Bloom's taxonomy, and no, it's nothing like that. And I think people, when I first came in and I started watching everybody go, I was like, wow, this is exciting. I don't know what I'm doing, but this is cool, And so now I feel, as I'm looking at the documents and kind of reviewing what people are doing, it's really fun to watch. It's really fun to kind of see, oh, wow, this is really actually, stuff that we're doing or I can do, or this is stuff that, makes sense. And what helps is that the students put their voice in it too. And I feel that when I bring it to the classroom, I can bring it in a way that's going to make sense to them. Because if it's not student centered, then and I do it and it's not been student tested, then I'm gonna have to go back and kind of work it. So I like the fact that this is something that has been involved with not only our voices but with the student voice as well. So
I think two pieces of advice that I would give to new teachers, like brand new teachers doing this, is you don't have to do everything that's in the cookbook. You just pick, a few strategies that you think will work for you. And then also to let go of the reins a little bit. You're gonna have to take a risk and let your students go and run with it. And if you plan those lessons, those few that you pick, if you plan them well, you'll see that the students are going to take control of their own learning, and they are going to surprise you in so many ways. And I was new to SUSO as well, as far as the planning component. We assisted Mr. Perez at our campus with SUSO, but I think that those two things would be important for a new teacher, would be to definitely just give away some of that control that sometimes teachers feel that they need to have over their classroom, and let the kids do the work, and just facilitate with you solid, good lessons.
Yeah, all of these lessons are very student vetted and have a lot of student input on them. So they're the students will have a lot of time, a lot of fun with them. And I think for all teachers that this is a good project to just really let go and let the students have fun with it, and just trust that the students that they can take this project and learn from it and really get a lot out of it. If you set up those good systems for the students to take their learning to the next level.
One thing that I would pass on to new teachers is that when you release the reins a bit, you kind of get afraid that students are going to get off track. And to make sure that students stay on track, as a teacher or facilitator to the learning, you have to make sure that your students focus on a solution to the problem that they choose. Because this is a civic action project, it needs to have a proven solution happen. Sometimes the kids can easily get lost in what causes the problem. This is what we did to make it an issue that's people aware of the issue, and then they lose sight on the end goal, to solve it. So, and that could be just due to time or lack of planning. So I think the fact that if you're trying to roll this out for the first time, the best advice I can give is whatever groups you decide to do this in, focus on that, making sure that the kids have a solution to their problem.
Something that I like to share is I think this project has the potential to speak to all types of students, whether they enjoy school or they don't, because everyone can find something to complain about or to something that they don't like, whether it's uniforms or something that they find unfair. And so this project allows students and teachers to engage in meaningful work. And so students don't often see that they're gaining or they're learning like academic skills, because they're trying to write questions to challenge adults and to ask them, why these problems are happening if they're in charge. So they get to really be creative and find topics that they're interested in. So it can speak to a variety of different types of learners.
And do our students have any good advice for moving forward in this kind of work?
I think I just wanted to piggyback off everybody else was saying. The whole thing, let's be taught by Mr. Big there to be able to be that support system that we need. And so the whole theory of being student based, I felt that it was, like Sarah had said, it's really a way for any student to get involved. It's a way for them to complain and find something, but also knowing that the teachers are there to overlook what you're doing and being able to challenge you, being able to throw you at the deep end of the pool and tell you to look for something even deeper and find these solutions that they're completely capable of, because they are the future leaders, and it's a way to introduce them to something that they're not typically used to. So
Yeah. Thank you.
For me, I think it was really fun just to look over the possible assignments that future students are going to be doing. I liked some of the ideas, and actually, I'm personally want to involve myself in it, even though I'm a rising senior. And the possible assignments for these are going to be for the middle schoolers or younger high school students. But yeah, it was really fun to see everything, and hopefully I can possibly join.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Sophia. We have just a couple of minutes left before our time is up. Is there anything that we have not spoken about yet that you feel like other people need to know about the work that you've created, or about the process that you used, or anything that comes to mind that we haven't gotten to yet?
I think that one thing to note is, it may have been said at the beginning of this recording, but it's worth repeating, that this Speak Up, Speak Out program isn't something that you have to do in even though it does have certain set dates, like the civics fair in December and the states fair in February. The time that you use for prep is so open that it lets you do it in multiple fashions. So you can either do it like CASTEM does as a whole PBL for the entire school. You can combine it with a couple of courses like social studies and English, probably like the other CAS schools do. And then you can even do it as an after school program, which we've done with upperclassmen. So there's multiple ways that it can be implemented, and I think that's worth sharing.
And if there's nothing else, I want to say thank you. Thank you for spending your summer doing this work. I know I have high schoolers of my own, and a first grader, if you can believe that. And I know that they have benefited tremendously from teachers like you who have the time and the willingness to spend planning such great experiences for them. So on their behalf, on all of the other students' behalf, I just want to say thanks for spending your time this way. Thanks for joining us today. And if anybody has any questions around this work, who should they reach out to?
So the cookbook will be shared with all of the teachers, and within that that Google Drive, there will be a who's who that will say who that will be like the point person of the student interns and the teachers on each campus who they can speak to. So there will be like a student task force made up of CAS students from all across the network, who the teachers can talk to, as well as the teachers who worked on creating the materials in the cookbook, who they can talk to about any ideas that came up over the summer, or any of the specific materials in the cookbook. So all of their contact, their email information, and their names will be in the cookbook, so they can reach out to them.
Great. All right. Well, thank you guys for your time. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.